So now the topic is, what are the parameters used in suspension? What are the parameters used in suspension? Sedimentation volume and degree of floculation. Sedimentation volume and a degree of floculation. Sedimentation volume. Sedimentation volume we can represent if of or if. So sedimentation volume, I have taken deflocculated suspension and flocculated suspension. In the deflocculated suspension, whatever the solvent I have added up to this. In flocculated suspension, I have added the same level of solvent. Then upon the storage, there is a formation of hard cake. For deflocculated, there is a formation of loose cake. Loose sediment is formed. Here hard cake is formed. Loose sediment we can get. Loose sediment we can form is formed. We can represent by Bu. Here V alpha, hard cake. So what is so sedimentation volume of deflocculated suspension we can represented by sedimentation volume of deflocculated suspension we can represent by F alpha. So what we are doing means here so I am comparing the sedimentation, what is the volume of hard cake with respect to the total amount of solvent. Here I am comparing the sedimentation volume of deflocculated suspension can be calculated by F alpha is equals to what is the how much volume of hard cake is formed. See this much amount of hard cake is formed. This much amount of hard cake is formed. First I need to write this, followed by how much amount, this much amount of solvent is present. Then I am comparing this with total amount. Like sedimentation volume of flocculated suspension F is equals to sedimentation volume of loose sediment. Sedimentation volume of flocculated suspension, how much volume of sediment is formed, how much volume Vu, how much volume of sediment is loose sediment is formed, that is comparing with the total volume of the solvent. Total volume means up to the surface of solvent. V0, see V0, Vu by V0, here V alpha by V0 in case of deflocculated, in case of flocculated suspension. So just by knowing this information, I come to know the degree of flocculation. The degree of flocculation. The degree of flocculation I can represent it by with beta. Beta is equals to F by F alpha. F means sedimentation volume of flocculated. F means sedimentation volume of flocculated suspension by sedimentation volume of deflocculated suspension. Vu by V0 divided by sedimentation volume of deflocculated suspension. V alpha by V0. V alpha divided by V0. V0 to V0 cancel. Vu by V alpha. What we have got? Vu by V alpha. Finally we got Vu by V alpha. So what is this beta represents? What is this beta represent? Ratio between this is called as a ratio between the sedimentation volume of flocculated. Vu means flocculated. Sedimentation volume of flocculated suspension to the sedimentation volume of deflocculated suspension. We can call as a degree of flocculation. Definition completed, the formula completed, we have derived that formula. So what is the value of degree of flocculation for deflocculated suspension? Means beta always 1. It should be 1 for deflocculated suspension. For deflocculated suspension, beta value should be 1. Then we are using this is as a standard. Standard means just comparing the this with this. Standard means for comparison of for comparing the degree of flocculation in flocculated suspension by using standard deflocculated suspension. What is the beta value? Beta value for flocculated suspension means should be 2, 3, 4, 5, so on, but not 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, so on, but not 1 for flocculated suspension. For example, if beta is equals to 5, if he was mentioned the beta is equals to beta value for the given suspension, I have given a suspension, the beta value for this flocculated suspension is 5, then it's indicating the height of sediment in the flocculated suspension is, the height of sediment in this flocculated suspension is more, means 5 times more than deflocculated. 5 times more than deflocculated means simply deflocculated 1 centimeter you can assume. Then if beta value 5 means 5 centimeter. Sedimentation height is 5 centimeter in case of 5 centimeter in case of, if he was given 5 means 5 centimeter of flocculated loose sediment is present in the flocculated suspension compared to deflocculated suspension, P is equals to 5, for example, indicating the height of sediment in the flocculated suspension is 5 times more than deflocculated suspension. 5 times more than deflocculated suspension, then you can call as a degree of flocculation. Sedimentation volume FIFR for degree of flocculation with beta.